you here today. I must also thank your parents, because without them I wouldn't have known you and I wouldn't have been here. So thank you. As you heard, I was very honored to sing a very special song here today, but just before I do, as I was listening to the stories, I couldn't help but remembering something very personal that just came back to me. A story that ended, unfortunately, different than yours did. The only cousin, the only remaining relative of my father that survived the Shoah was a lady that I met when I came to Israel in 1962. Her name was Renia. We called her Togola. She was the only survivor of my father's family from Warsaw. And she had been in the Warsaw Ghetto with her husband and her little boy. Her husband's name was Abrum. Their second name was Filzman. I don't know, perhaps you may have met them. But they survived the fighting and the destruction of the ghetto. And I met her when I came to Israel. And she told me her story. They escaped through the sewers, and they tried to reach, the three of them, they survived the ghetto, and they tried to reach Aryan neighbors that they had lived with outside the ghetto walls before the war. Her husband, Abrum, who was a very strong man, told her to stay with the little boy. They hid in some ruined buildings, and he went to get help. He told her, though, that if he wasn't back within 24 hours, he wasn't coming back, and she should find help herself. He did not come back. She asked the little boy to stay where he was, and she eventually managed to reach their neighbors. The neighbors went back to find the little boy because they didn't want her to be in danger again. And unfortunately, they didn't find him. It's a story that ended tragically, just the opposite of yours, unfortunately. This lady eventually joined the partisans and eventually joined the Russian army that came through as a nurse. And she was in Berlin when they liberated Berlin, the Russian army. She eventually was able to reach my father at the war in the United States, and they managed to arrange for her to come to Israel. It's a story that I'll never forget, because after surviving the ghetto and the fighting, within 2 or 3 days, she lost both her husband and the child. She never remarried, but I was so pleased to hear your story, because hers ended just the other way. And it's just an example of the tragedies that some of us remember from our families that are no longer with us. This is a song that I will translate for you. It was written by Yiddish-language, and I think it basically says all there is to say about the heroism during the Shoah. It says, never say that you are going your last way. Though lead-filled skies above blot out the blue of day, the hour for which we long will certainly appear. The earth shall thunder neath our tread, that we are here. From lands of green palm trees to lands all white with snow, we are coming with our pain and with our woe, and wherever a spurt of our blood did drop, our courage will again sprout from that spot. For us, the morning sun will radiate the day, and the enemy and past will fade away. But should the dawn delay or sunrise wait too long, then let all future generations sing this song. This song was written with our blood and not with lead. This is no song of free birds flying overhead, but a people amid crumbling walls did stand. They stood and sang this song with rifles in their hand. If you know the song, please join me. So it came across the gates the nesting day, Hashem Lillian, Hashem Lillian, kommen wird noch unser Weißgewänd Shoah, es wird ab heute unser Brot, wir seien do, kommen wird noch unser Weißgewänd Shoah, es wird ab heute unser Brot, wir seien do. Von grünem Palmenland bis weißen Land und Schnee. Wir kommen an mit unser Pein, unser Weh. Und wo Gefahr dieser Spritz von unser Blut, sprossen wird auf unser Tode, unser Blut. Und wo Gefahr dieser Spritz von unser Blut, sprossen wird auf unser Tode, unser Blut. Es wird die Morgensonnen bagierten unseren Heim, und der Nächten wird verschwinden mit dem Feind. Noch euch als Damen so wie Sonnen Kajor, wie a Parol so geht das Lied von dort zu dort. Noch euch als Damen so wie Sonnen Kajor, wie a Parol so geht das Lied von dort zu dort. Das Lied geschrieben ist mit Blut und nicht mit Leid. Es ist nicht ein Lied von der Teufel läuft frei. Das hat das Volk zwischen Fall und die gewendet. Das Lied gesungen mit einer Dame in die Hände. Das hat das Volk zwischen Fall und die gewendet. Das Lied gesungen mit einer Dame in die Hände. Das soll nicht geben, was die Geister lösten See. Von Schimmeln Leiden verschellen neue Fälle. Kommen wird noch unser Hausgedenke Shoah. Es wird ab heute von unser Trott, wir seien do. Kommen wird noch unser Hausgedenke Shoah.